Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Wednesday morning over here. And today's analysis is going to be focused on things that are most relevant for the end of the week here, specifically for Thursday and Friday, as we do head into the end of the month and the end of this week, which can very much give us an indication as to whether this pump is legitimate or not. But I first want to cover over the analysis that we've been having for the past, it seems so long now, but I guess it's like the past 2-3 weeks since Bitcoin had that short-term move to the downside right here in middle of August, and then traded sideways for some time, which was giving us, I would say, and I don't like using these terms, but a relatively easy sort of analysis and saying, hey, the longer that Bitcoin goes sideways here within this next like 5 to 10 day spread, or 10 to 15 day spread, then the more likely it is to, well, pump back up. Now we're at the pump part. So the easy part is over. This part is where things get a little more interesting. So I am actually going to get rid of the right-hand side because TradingView is wrecked today, I guess. I don't really know what's going on over there. It seems like the issue is universal, so fair enough. But first things first. So if we start off over here with the monthly, which the monthly is going to be closing tomorrow. That's tomorrow, Thursday, the last day of the month. We can see that Bitcoin is going to be trading right around that yellow moving average. What is that yellow moving average? It is a 20 simple moving average. And just generally speaking, over the full history of Bitcoin, you can see that it is, more or less gotten things right. It's gotten things right in terms of, where Bitcoin is at within the context of its market cycle. When it's above, generally good, especially if it has a positive slope. If it's below, generally bad, especially if it has a negative slope. And when it's kind of sideways, when you see that the slope is flat, then, well, you get something like this, where it's mostly a sideways market. Again, if you were to put this on an actual line chart, despite, the black swans and whatnot, when we kind of equate for just getting rid of all the wicks, and just look at the closures, you can see that things were more or less sideways here for quite some time. Anyways, going back to the good old dildos, we can see that the monthly 20 simple is currently at 27,597 on Bitcoin index. Again, closing tomorrow night, currently trading about 100 and change below that at 27,435. A lot of things can happen within a day and a half or a day and 18 hours within this case. So I would say that is, significant, obviously. Bitcoin can remain above it, a good signal that Bitcoin is going to continue to trade sideways probably into September. I do think that we'd see another sideways month, but that would be certainly more on the bullish side. So that'd be the soonest thing that can happen that would start to really set the tone for the next few months to occur. And again, I want this analysis to really be viewed in alignment with the analysis that I put out last Monday, not this past Monday, but last Monday, where we went over the interplay between the August in pre-election years and how it set in the low, typically in August, based off of extreme reads on the McClellan oscillator, sometimes in September, but usually within August for the past 20 years, then leading to a new all-time high within traditional markets within about a year, sometimes very, very quickly, sometimes, around that year mark. And sometimes the new highs were not all that significant, just a little bit, namely 2007. But that I do think is worth keeping in the mind right now. Now, the second most important thing happening the soonest would be on Friday. We have the weekly close for CME, and the weekly can have a chance potentially to close above that yellow moving average. Again, the 20 simple right here. And another sort of just general interplay that Bitcoin likes to get rejected at this region during its, quote unquote bear markets. And it likes to use that as, a general support within its bull markets. Did I say it gets rejected there in bull markets? No, I mean that it gets rejected there in bear markets, generally speaking. So looking at it as it is right now, that's exactly where Bitcoin has gotten rejected thus far, and it is starting to turn into a negative slope. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that while that move to the upside was, again, a little bit more on the easier side to be calling for, this is the difficult part because it's exactly where you'd be expecting a rejection if this one is going to eventually come lower. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be looking at the 2019 fractal, the good old fractals over here. And to be fair, there are a lot of things that rhyme, right? Bitcoin goes through its, year and a half long downside market, ending in capitulation in December 2018, reclaims a 20 simple, boom, big move to the upside for that pre-halving run, if you want to call it that. And then it breaks down below that 20 simple on the first move. And then after a few weeks of sideways, boom, big move to the upside, just tests though, reject, a little bit lower, and then a pump up to actually, higher above that, which did eventually, fall out. It was a bit of a black swan, but if we didn't see a black swan there, could it have traded sideways into this and, it looks something more like this? Perhaps yes, like something like that maybe. But ultimately, we don't know. Anyways, a lot of similarities over here. Bitcoin down only for about a year and a half, finds its lows over here, reclaims a 20 simple, boom, 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 new highs, lose it right here for a tick, comes back up, retests it, so far rejected. So like I said, this is pretty much that low $28,000 region is where you would be expecting a rejection if you are more on the bearish side, which it has gotten rejected from thus far, for at least from what I can see. Anyways, we can move on to the next chart now. Those were the two most important things. Of course, also on the weekly, I do want to be aware that that there is potential for hidden bullish divergence to be populated here of 1, 2, 3. Would this be 3 drives? Yeah, it actually would be 3 drives because that one is slightly higher. Yeah, so that would work with in this case. But it needs to close this week above 27,100. If that is to say that Bitcoin Bullish hopes are alive as long as Bitcoin's above 27,100. So we have this trading range now between 27.1 and about 28.2, where the weekly 20 simple was. And so as long as Bitcoin's between there, no real decisions have been made. Above 28.2, again, on a weekly closure especially, okay, that looks good enough for probably another retest of the highs of this rally, 31, 32, and probably new highs from there if I had to guess. And 2, if Bitcoin does lose about 27.1, then no longer do you have hidden bullish divergence. And at that point, actually would probably look for that fractal to play out. Now, I do want to put one last thing on top of this, just because, we're already here. I wasn't going to include this one to begin with, but, this does also play hand in hand with the hash ribbons indicator that we did look at, where I'm looking for right now, that we did look at a few weeks ago, which signaled off that blue buy signal, which was, let me get rid of all of this, which was, yes, it was, or actually that is all relevant, so I'll keep it on, signaled off right here in early August, signaling that the prior weekly low, which was 25,800 or so, is the low to be mindful of, meaning that again, the relationship with this one is that anytime that we do see that blue buy signal, typically the weekly low prior to the blue buy signal has not been closed below, in most cases ever again. Now there have been 15 of these prior signals. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 15 prior ones. And of those 15, 13 did work out in the fashion that I just explained. 2 of them did not, where they did close below the prior weekly low, and actually didn't just close below the prior weekly low, but crashed after that. One of them was, of course, the Rona dump over here, actually. And the other one, a little bit more recent, was coming off of the 2021 new all-time high, which Bitcoin actually did make a new all-time high before, did come back down after that. So, fair enough. Anyways, that one is still active as well. So moving on now, I do want to get into the HPDR ranges. There is a few things of interest right here. Again, top side of the current 4-hour range high coming in around upper 26s. I expect that that's actually going to move up to that 27.1 region soon. But if you're looking at a 4-hour, that'd be the relevant region for right now. Currently, struggling a little bit around that 80% of historic returns range highs, as you can see right there. If we start to see volatility start to contract a lot more, whilst it's still above, especially in these more what's called critical regions right here, at that point, yeah, I would be looking for a bit of mean reversion actually. But for right now, it's probably going to take another half day before we have any sort of interesting reads on that. I think the daily popped back into the range. Yeah, indeed it did. And what do you know, the daily range low right here is 27.1. So I really like that 27.1 region below there. Yeah, it's I'd have to get bearish once, I'd have to actually get bearish a little bit. Probably for another retest of last week's low and maybe even a little bit lower towards 24,800. But as long as Bitcoin's above there, Bullish hopes stay alive. As long as Bitcoin's below 28.2, Bitcoin bearish hopes stay alive, kinda in that case. Anyways, moving on now to stochastic momentum. We did point out on the 5-day chart yesterday that it was going to be coming into collision with the 5-day trendline regression coming in from the last few major lows here. That would be I think is actually better seen on spot price action, but I can't pull up my regular charts over here, but it is the same thing basically. As you can see, it's starting to come in collision with that. Still though, the pivot is 29,200. The thing is though, is that on the next closure, this pivot I suspect will come down from that number, hopefully significantly for the Bulaw's sake. If it comes down to where price action is right now, 27 or 27.5 and starts to turn around this region, that'd be another damn good indication that we're going to see another pretty impressive bounce at minimum, and maybe even just the next major, low before, severe continuation. Moving through the different lists though, we can see that the 2-day time frame also crossing up from a very, very critical region right here within the context of low volatility. Current pivot is 26,100, closing tomorrow night. Daily time frame is also gonna be showing upside momentum as long as Bitcoin's above 26,250. 12-hour time frames also be showing upside momentum as long as Bitcoin's above 26 basically. 6-hour time frame also up above 26,700. 4-hour time frame also up above 27.1, and hourly is probably also going to be, oh no, it's actually down below 28.1. So what does that align with? It aligns with short-term Bitcoin Bulaw's. The longer that Bitcoin stays here, the more and more likely it's going to turn bearish basically, if it does fail to crack back above 28.2. So it's kind of like the opposite of before, where over here it's like the longer that this one goes sideways, the more and more likely it's going to pump back up. Kind of the opposite over here, meaning that Bitcoin Bulaw's, do have maybe like a 5, maybe 10-day spread where they get to, have the ball in their court and push things up. But if they don't really take things within that time or that context, I would be looking for this one to return back down to those lows actually. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. This is actually coming in on a live stream right now. So if you're watching this at a later time, we're actually be doing the live streams from now on Wednesday mornings. I'll even be pushing the time a little bit earlier in the coming weeks as we do move around. But with that said, I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Thursday.